The Killer Clown. How John Wayne Gacy Shattered Suburban Trust in the 1970s. Content warning. This article discusses graphic crimes and details that are disturbing. Reader discretion is advised. Imagine the quintessential 1970s American suburb. Kids ride their bikes down quiet streets, neighbors host backyard barbecues, and community life feels safe, predictable. In one such suburb outside Chicago, a man named John Wayne Gacy was a pillar of his community. He was a successful contractor, a Democratic precinct captain who posed for a photo with First Lady Rosalind Carter, and a man who brought joy to children as Pogo the Clown. But beneath the floorboards of his house on Summerdale Avenue, a horrific secret was buried. John Wayne Gacy was not just a friendly neighbor. He was one of the most prolific and sadistic serial killers in American history. His crimes in the 1970s didn't just take lives. They destroyed the very idea that evil couldn't be the man next door. The mask of normalcy. Gacy's public persona was his most effective weapon. He ran his own contracting business, PDM Contractors, and frequently hired teenage boys and young men looking for work. He was politically active and, his clown act, which he performed at charity events and children's parties, cemented his image as a harmless, jovial figure. This facade allowed him to operate without suspicion for years. He preyed on the Vonaware runaways, hustlers, and earnest young men simply looking for a job. He understood that his appearance as a respectable, middle-aged businessman was the perfect camouflage. No one would suspect the man who organized the neighborhood block party of the sinister acts he committed behind closed doors. The House of Horrors between 1972 and 1978, Gacy methodically murdered at least 33 young men and boys. His method was chillingly consistent. He would lure a victim to his home with the promise of a job, money, or alcohol. Once inside, he would often handcuff them under the guise of a magic trick or offer them drugs to subdue them. What followed was unimaginable: sexual assault, torture, and strangulation, often using a rope tourniquet he called his rope trick. Gacy disposed of most bodies in the crawl space beneath his house in Norwood Park Township, Illinois. As the space filled up, he resorted to burying some in his backyard or dumping them in the nearby Des Plaines River. The smell of decay eventually permeated his home, which he dismissed to visitors as sewage problems. Neighbors noticed odd odors and Gacy's erratic behavior, but no one connected the dots until it was too late. His victims ranged in age from 14 to 21, many of whom were reported missing but overlooked by authorities who assumed they were runaways. This era's attitudes toward missing young men, often dismissed as troubled youth, allowed Gacy's killing spree to continue unchecked for years. The investigation and arrest turning point came in December 1978 with the disappearance of 50. Robert Pierce. Pierce had been seen talking to Gacy about a job at a local pharmacy. When police questioned Gacy, his story didn't add up. A search warrant revealed handcuffs, ropes, and disturbing items in his home. But it was the unmistakable stench that led investigators to the crawl space. What they uncovered was a nightmare. 26 bodies, in various states of decomposition, under the house, with 3 more in the yard and 4 dumped in rivers. Gacy confessed to the murders, casually describing them as cruising for victims and claiming some deaths were accidental. He even drew maps to help police locate the remains. The media dubbed him the Killer Clown, a moniker that captured the grotesque irony of his double life. Trial, execution, and legacy. Gacy's trial in 1980 was a media circus. His defense argued insanity, citing childhood abuse and possible mental illness. But psychiatrists testified he was sane and fully aware of his actions. He was convicted of 33 murders and sentenced to death. While on death row, Gacy painted clowns and other artwork, some of which sold for thousands, adding to his macabre notoriety. He was executed by lethal injection on May 10, 1994, at Stateville Correctional Center. A defiant kiss my ass. Gacy's crimes left an indelible mark on the 1970s and beyond. They exposed flaws in law enforcement's handling of missing persons cases, particularly those involving marginalized groups. His story inspired books like Killer Clown by Terry Sullivan, films such as Gacy, and even influenced horror icons like Stephen King's. More importantly, Gacy's case serves as a grim reminder of the banality of evil. It wasn't a shadowy monster. He was the guy next door. In an era of Watergate scandals and social upheaval, his crimes amplified fears that trust in institutions and neighbors could be fatally misplaced. Final thoughts. John Wayne Gacy's reign of terror in the 1970s claimed 33 known lives. But the true toll includes shattered families and a community forever scarred. Today, his house has been demolished, replaced by a nondescript lot, but the lessons remain. Vigilance, empathy for the vulnerable, and the understanding that evil often hides in plain sight. If you're interested in true crime, check out resources like the FBI's case files or documentaries such as Netflix. As Conversations with a Killer, the John Wayne Gacy tapes. Remember, behind every statistic is a human story. Let's honor the victims by learning from the past. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Stay safe out there. Subscribe for more.